You fucking suck at PowerPoint, Diebeard.
Yeah, well, you can do it next time. It's not like I enjoy doing this.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, it's amazing the incredible amount of time you put into this presentation and how incredibly shitty it still is.
Okay, Peacemaker, shut up.
Dude, I didn't mean to put your father in prison.
And why'd you put him there, you fat fuck?
Because I couldn't think of anybody else.
What about Ariana Grande or Drake?
What?
Brad Pitt or Payne Stewart or Doug the Pug? Khloe Kardashian, the Red Tiger from Voltron, Fran Tarkenton, Joe Montana, Joe Montana, Eddie Murphy, Michael Jordan, Michael B. Jordan, BTS, Eugene Levy?
Fuck, dude.
John Lovitz? Shut the fuck up and listen, man. I'm giving you a list of people you could have done. Danny DeVito, Will Ferrell, Howard Stern, Baba Booey, Robin Ophelia, Quivers, Alice Cooper, Ozzy Osbourne, Sharon Osbourne, Bill Cosby. He just got out. He's got time on his hands. Amy Winehouse.
Dude, Amy Winehouse is fucking dead.
Optimus Prime, Shipwreck, Cobra Commander, the fucking cunts from Riverdale.
All right, next time I fucking have to frame somebody, it'll be one of all those fucking thousands of people you just mentioned.
Yeah, tell that to my dad.
Peacemaker, shut the fuck up.
Hey, panelists, welcome back to the show. I'm Mark. And do you really, really want to taste it?
And I'm Steve.
Steve's back.
Steve, you're back!
And I am Rob. I'm back too.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Rob's back too. But Steve's been the longest gone, so this is so cool. All right, we have a triumphant. We have the three of us, which is pretty cool. Rob's been filling in while Steve's been gone. Steve's finally back. We're so grateful for him to be back. And this episode, we're going to be covering Peacemaker Season 1. We've already teased it on our Facebook page. I told you guys, hey, this is coming. Well, it's here now. For those of you who do not know what Peacemaker is, have not watched The Suicide Squad, have not watched the Peacemaker TV series, stop now. If you are very much susceptible to hating anything that would upset you within society, do not watch the show, because honestly, they tap on everything that is bad. And unless you have a really weird sense of humor,
Yes.
which we all do, and you could take that with a grain of salt. That is the whole point behind Peacemaker, I think, because a lot of people are either A, upset or love the show because it poked fun out of a lot of things that a lot of people are either A, disturbed of, or just know that it's done in that light heart. A lot of people got upset about the show, and I looked into it. It's so sad because people are like bashing it, but there are people praising it. You can see a lot of YouTubers that are known that review these kind of things and just love it for the pure fact that they know it is humorous. It's poking humor into the world that is out there, and like I said, you have to take it with a grain of salt. It's fun to watch. We love the character, and obviously the character came, and just give you a bit of history, it came from the Suicide Squad, the movie The Suicide Squad that came out,
About
3 years ago?
2 years ago, yeah.
I'd say 2 years ago. So I had Idris Elba, I had John Cena, a whole slew of people. They killed off the original Suicide Squad movie characters, except for Harley Quinn.
Horrible death.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Weasel still
But the
lives.
weasel
Yep.
still lived. But painted Peacemaker as a horrible person. But within this show itself, we get to know who that character is and grow to love the character himself.
Yeah.
As stupid as he is. Because honestly, come on, guys. We all know that he's stupid. So, like we're saying, we're talking about the show Peacemaker that was on HBO or HBO Max. If you have it, those that you loved it, great. Thank you for staying, because pretty sure everybody's being like, wait a minute. They were racial in this? They were
everything.
Well, really, mainly Robert Patrick. But, he's mainly the one who
Well, Well, yeah.
You know, Peacemaker had a little bit of some stuff, but mostly it was Robert Patrick, and he's gone now. So,
Yeah.
well, I guess except for his visions, the ghost.
Yeah. Well, spoilers for that, but yeah, he's gone.
Yeah, they touch upon.
The
They
Red
pretty
Devil,
much touch upon it,
as it were.
touch upon everything. I mean, there's no holds barred. Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
It's not
everything.
Asian
Yeah.
hatred and like, oh, it just
The
like,
White Dragon. The White Dragon.
but
Yeah,
Yeah.
the White Dragon. I said Red Dragon.
Yeah.
But he had red on him, so he had a
Yeah.
little bit of red. Got red on you. But let's talk about the characters within the actual show. So we got John Cena, who is Peacemaker. We've seen him in movies like Blockers, Bumblebee, Fast and the Furious 9, The Suicide Squad, as well as John Cena, the wrestler for WWE, a known rapper as well.
correct. I was surprised at that one. when I looked them up, I was like, oh, formal rapper.
You didn't buy that CD when it came out?
No, I don't think I did.
I did. I have it. I still have the uncensored version.
Do you really?
Yes, it's still cool to listen to. All right, so next up we have who else?
Danielle Brooks played Leota. She was also on Orange is the New Black as Big Tasty.
Yep, a character that I did love in Orange is the New Black, and this way, in this particular show, she did a lot that made me like her more and more as an actress because it showed a different side of her. Because in Orange is the New Black, we only saw one side of these characters, but you know, with this, we see a new thing of Danielle, and I really do appreciate it.
I never got to see all of Orange is the New Black. Just so I think like maybe the first 2 or 3 episodes, and then after that I just kind of dropped it. But
Oh, okay.
I've heard good things about it. I should probably go back and see it.
Next up, Rob.
Next one is Freddie Stroma, who plays Vigilante. You guys have probably seen him in the Harry Potter movies. So he was in Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, and he was also in the last 2 movies, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows 1 and 2. He was also in Game of Thrones, which I will have to go back and see who he was. So
Oh, awesome.
yeah.
What is he of English descent? Do we know?
When I was looking at some of the behind the scenes stuff, I did not notice an accent. Sometimes you all of a sudden you get an accent from, these actors that you're like, "Oh, wait a minute." they're from a different place. But no, he was talking English, just normal English, so I have to assume he's from here.
All right, cool. Next up would be Chukwudi Iwiji, who played Judo Master. The little guy who we don't recognize from anything, but apparently was in John Wick Chapter 2, which I had covered on Adrenaline Cinema podcast with Cat Craft. And why I didn't know that, I don't know. But the little guy was there. And he was also in Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
No, he's coming out in Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Oh!
yeah.
Oh, he's coming out as Guardians of the Galaxy 3 as
Correct.
the High Evolutionary. Wow!
Yeah.
That is awesome. So he went from DC to Marvel now.
Right. Well, I don't think. I think it's called Guardians of the Galaxy 3 High Evolutionary. I don't think he is the High Evolutionary, but I don't know. Things will change.
We'll know. If you do see him, you'll know him.
Yeah, he's the short guy.
He's that short guy or the big head.
Exactly.
And then we also had Jennifer Holland. She played Harcourt, and she was in the movie Brightburn. And then she was also in Black Adam and the Suicide Squad playing the same character, Agent Harcourt.
Yeah.
Yep. And she's also James Gunn's wife now.
Yes. So that means that she's going to get all the parts.
And nepotism runs greatly in the Gunn family. Well, Sean is always there too, so he's got to put his brother in everything as well. I think he played the Weasel.
Did he really?
I think he did do the. Yeah, I think he was the. I think he did something with the motion capture for the Weasel. I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's like Ron Howard putting his brother in.
His brother in.
Yeah, in everything.
So. Next up, we have Steve Agee, who plays Economus, and he plays a part in Guardians of the Galaxy 3. He was also in Brightburn. And just to mention to you listeners, too, you panelers, We did cover Brightburn when it came out in theaters, Steve and I, a long
Wow.
time ago.
How long ago was that?
That was when it came out.
Yeah, I'm the bad guy.
Yeah, it was another James Gunn movie too, by the way. So it was kind of what I like to say the evil version of Superman
Mhm.
as a young kid.
Yeah, what would happen if Superman was just a snot-nosed little shit?
Exactly. And got his way.
Mhm.
Next up, Rob.
Next up is Robert Patrick. We all know him. You know, he played the White Dragon, August Smith, Peacemaker's father. But Robert Patrick is very well known as, of course, the T-1000 in Terminator 2. So, but his list of accomplishments and filmography is just so long.
Oh yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah, to me, it's so funny. He's the brother of a singer of a band, and it's in my head. Do you trip like I do? Is the name of the song? It's not.
Wait. I know the song I think you're talking about.
There you go. So let's do some little research here.
Is it from Crystal Method?
Nope, it's not the Crystal Method.
No? Okay.
I'm gonna say Robert
Crystal Skull?
Patrick's brother is, and the band that he was in, Richard Patrick, and he is the front man. Apparently, wait, he was in. No, not Nine Inch Nails. Oh my goodness. Do you remember the movie, the song Picture? Filter. The band Filter. His brother is the lead singer of Filter. Sorry, is on the tip of my brain. So if you trip like I do, I forgot and I tripped over it. He was Robert was also in I'm gonna say Scorpion. The TV
he
show
was in-
Scorpion.
Yep.
He did a couple seasons of the X-Files back in
Yeah.
the 90s.
Yes.
Yeah.
The last two seasons when
The last two seasons with Annabeth Gish.
yeah, when Duchovny decided to not come back, but
The Covenant. Yep. And somebody else. There was other actors within the X-Files too,
right.
which blow my mind. That if you look, he was in the movie where the guy got abducted by the aliens. That was based off a true story.
Yes, Fire in the Sky. I mean, just to kind of give you a lowdown: Die Hard 2, Wayne's World,
Mm-hmm.
Broken, Fire in the Sky, The Last Action Hero, Double Dragon, crazy stuff. I mean, like you look at his stuff and it's just movie after movie. He was from
Movie after movie.
yeah, from
Mhm.
Dusk Till Dawn 2, The Faculty.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
That's right.
So yeah,
Just to
he's-
give an
his-
idea, Robert Patrick's been around for a long, long time.
long
But
time.
we most notably know him like what Rob was saying, Terminator 2.
Terminator 2 is his, I think his magnus opus.
Yeah, I think so too. Everybody remembers him, but now we know him as the racist father of Peacemaker, Chris. Chris Smith. Sorry, Chris.
Finally, the last one that we have on our list here of notables is Elizabeth Faith Ludlow. She played Leota's wife. I don't know if we ever get her name in the show. I don't remember, but she
I
was a
forgot her
rat.
name as well.
She was a rat on The Walking Dead for a couple of seasons. She was in Netflix's Another Life, and she also was in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Yep. People that faces we may know. Something that we got out of Adrenaline Cinema podcast that I do for my other podcast. I just throw those in for the fact that it just equates to where we've seen them before, and that way, if you haven't seen them before, you makes you want to go see them in those shows or movies, because sometimes you just got to see those for the fun of it,
By the way, Elizabeth's character's name is Kia Adebayo, something like that. In the show.
Ah,
In the show. Okay.
Okay, so-
Kia.
Kia. Okay, cool. Good to know. But as we stated in the very beginning, this is going to be a season 1 overall review. Us talking about the show, what we loved about the show, quotes, scenes that we liked, the characters, what we like about the characters, and where we see season 2 possibly going and what we're going to get out of it. Plus the news of the DCU, which might affect how Peacemaker season 2 comes, because James Gunn is now head of DC. He's the Kevin Feige of DCU.
Right.
So how could this change the whole environment of the DC cinematic universe with James Gunn in charge? But I have a few ideas and thoughts based upon that, and we'll get into that at the very end. So sorry, spoilers. End of conversation of the show. So if you're waiting for that, you could just shoot ahead if you want. But in this case, we're going to move right along and go into our general thoughts of the season, overall thoughts. Steve, we'll start with you since you're back. You're finally back.
Absolutely. When we started planning on this, I watched the Suicide Squad movie, and then I binged through the first season in like a couple of days just a few weeks ago. And I don't know how I had totally forgot the major plot lines and how good this show really was. But I think what impressed me the most is just John Cena, is how he has grown as an actor. I mean, we know from the professional wrestling days, obviously there's acting involved in that. But he's also done so many things, and this show really gave him a chance to spread his wings, so to speak. We saw him have this anxiety breakdown that was just amazing to watch, the pain and anguish on his face and the anxiety, but also just to see when we see him in that second episode, when he realizes that he's pushed away everybody who's around him. I'm getting more into general thoughts, but general thoughts is, there was so many things I had forgotten about from the first viewing to the second viewing was what amazed me the most, was the little things I picked up on, and that I really enjoyed the show quite a bit.
Oh, cool. And Rob?
Yeah, my initial thought on this. So I saw this when it first came out, and then just kind of reviewing it again for this for this episode. I was amazed on how good this is. James Gunn does a phenomenal job with the fact that he could take the most obscure characters and just characters that really are not in the forefront of like what we have grown up with, and just make them very memorable. And I really like the fact that he doesn't hold back when it comes to being very risky at the stuff that he covers. So I mean, like the character of Peacemaker is just a deplorable human being, but at the same time, he gives him a lot of heart. He gives the character a lot of heart, and you could see that this is a character that is, you could see where he comes from too. How he became who he is. And at some point, even though there are times that you kind of say to yourself, Jesus Christ, this guy's such an asshole, but then you still feel sorry for him, and you kind of, and your heart breaks for him sometimes, because you're like, well, I could see why he is who he is. And all the other characters within the show are great compliments to him. So I thought it was very well done, extremely funny. There was just not one episode that you could say that, you got bored with, or it was a filler episode. Nothing like that. Went straight to the point. The jokes were just insane. Some of them you just kind of stood there with your mouth open going, oh my God, I can't believe they just said that. But it's a show where you could tell that these actors probably had the time of their lives doing this show, which was great. So yeah, great show. I loved it, and I can't wait to see what they come up with for season 2.
Yeah, my overall thoughts, I have to agree with you a lot of it, and honestly, to top on that, for the fact that both Rob and I work together, so this was water cooler talk, literally for
Yeah.
Rob and I in the very beginning, as he started Fantasy Picks Movie Edition, and I said to him blatantly, we should have been covering this for Panels to Pixels podcast in the very beginning.
Yes.
And Steve and I didn't, because we already had, 3 shows we were covering, I think, at the time when this came out.
I think at the time, I think there was like 2 or 3 shows we were doing all at the same time.
And it
we're
would have
just
been
like
so much. So we figured, you know what? It's going to get a season 2. It's already greenlit for it. So the idea was like, my overall idea is like, you know what? We'll just do it as a season. And then do it as a whole. We're not going to do it episodically. Now, mind you, there are only 8 episodes. They're maybe about 40 minutes a piece each episode. But if you really want to go, have us go through every episode independently, you vote on that and you let us know. And that happens in feedback, everybody. Keep that in mind.
I would happily do that because every show, honestly, every show is a work of art. And the amount of quotes, it's funny because in this show, we always do favorite quotes from a movie or something like that, or from an episode. There's at least 7 or 8 quotes per episode that are just memorable and to die for. It's just the amount of stuff, they cram so much in there. And you're just, you don't get bored. You definitely don't get bored from this.
Yeah, and to add to my overall thoughts, just to top on what you both had said, I love that we got, to me, honestly, this was a growing of a family coming together. Even they were forced together, very much like any superhero group, but in this case, it was a group that was all messed up in the very beginning, and they found each other in a certain way. Chris not only just had his best friend in Eaglia, but at the very end, he had Leota. That's his second best friend.
Right.
So, aside from Vigilante, who thinks he was always his best friend, but, they did love blowing things up. But the fact is that we saw a lot of character growth, and we saw a character history, and we got to see who Chris was and how messed up his past was, and where he came from, and how he had to be, and why he killed Flag. And then we see something different about Chris at the very end, towards the end of the episode, because he states that he could kill children in the Suicide Squad, and he just couldn't do it. And we get that one, I'm going to throw this out. That's a little bit of a nugget of one of my favorite scenes, is that he couldn't do it. He couldn't kill a kid. And of course, Vigilante just comes over and does it. But
well, in the beginning, I feel like he couldn't kill the kid because he didn't know what was going on. They didn't tell him what's going on. So it was just like, hey, kill the whole family. He's like, why would I do that?
Right.
I think once
he needed a reason,
right,
a specific.
and they didn't realize, he didn't realize the whole butterfly thing and things like that. So I think that's what really. I think later on he says he just doesn't want to kill anymore, which I thought that was actually very interesting.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that part was because of that, or if it was because he was just mad that they did not tell him, hey, this is what's really going on.
He had to have just cause, because it seems like if you point Chris in a direction, and this is my first of my favorite scenes, he had to have just cause for that particular killing. And then Vigilante, as we know, that particular character, oh my God, he just doesn't care. But he does care for his toe getting cut off.
That character is so funny.
Yeah.
But what's a scene that you guys like, a scene that you like? It could be sporadic within the actual show itself or season.
One for me was today, like I said earlier before we started recording, I rewatched the first 2 episodes and the last 2 episodes just today, just before we started recording.
Yeah.
In the first episode, the scene that had me just rolling is when he's in the hallway talking to the janitor, and he's like, "Can I trust you?" And the guy's like, "No." And he's like, "But no, really, can I trust you?" "No, you can't trust me. I'm not trust." Like that whole scene is just of him. He's like, "Well, if I tell you something, will you keep it in confidence?" "Of course I can keep a secret." That's the exact opposite of everything you've just been telling me, and just that whole idea. And the guy goes like, "I went to MIT," and he's like, "You went to MIT?" He's like, "Yeah, and I'm doing this. So obviously I'm not trustworthy." So that was the very first scene that I had totally forgotten about. And it's just this character that I don't think we ever see him again.
Oh, we do.
Oh, you're right. There's a later episode that he's in.
He shows up at his son's, bring.
The classroom. He brings him to school. To
Correct.
school. That's right. That's right.
It was supposed to be he was making believe he was a son's uncle or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. You're right. He does come back later in the
and then he starts making fun of the kids too. Chris.
Yeah.
And they asked him about Flash. He goes, "Yeah, he's kind of a dick."
But yeah, that for me, that was one of the standout scenes of the series, was just that interaction right there in the hall. We smoked weed together, that was a one-time thing, man.
The best part of that intro, though, was the fact that they started talking about Aquaman and how he he has like sex with fishes, and it's funny because that comes back in the end, which I thought it was actually very funny too. So
they did that with a lot of other superheroes regarding the DC universe,
right?
Especially during that classroom scene when he goes, the kid goes, "Have you ever met Wonder Woman?" "Oh, you didn't answer. You didn't raise your hand." Well, it's like, "Have you ever met Wonder Woman?" He goes, "Oh yeah, she IF'd me from across the room." He goes, and then the kid's father was like, who brought him there, was like, "Hey, dude." He goes, "I said I didn't use the F word."
Yeah.
But the fact that they do mention, the Flash, Wonder Woman, Superman,
right,
Aquaman, all these people, and how, they are related to some degree within this. And the fact is, it's like James Gunn poking fun at the DCU at that time.
Oh, of course.
And then we get that spoilery thing at the very end where we do see two of the Justice League there that were in Snyder's cut, or
right,
whoever else's cut that you want to talk about, because there's so many cuts. But honestly, there's only one cut that I would like, and I did enjoy the Snyder cut a little bit more than I got with, who was it? Joss Whedon.
Oh no, Josh Whedon was just that was an atrocious movie. So,
but both are atrocious in my opinion overall. It could have been done a lot better. The only thing cool about it was Batfleck, but and we, Cavill trying to work it out, and I got to give credit where credit's due. I always say this, and it's how I feel about Fear of the Walking Dead. It's like, there are great actors. They're just trying to do their best at acting in it from what they're given.
Right.
And if they're given crap, they're doing their best to give out that crap. You got to give them that credit.
Exactly.
If they were given better, it would have been amazing. I think, honestly, I would love to have Ben back as Batfleck. Hoping that we get this little snippet in the Flash movie at least. I know we're getting Keaton to some degree too, but they better not edit out. But we digress. Let's go back into Peacemaker. And I'm not talking into Peacemaker himself, because I don't want to see John Cena that way. He's a nice guy. He's handsome, but I don't want to see him that way. But
you really put a lot of thought into this, haven't you?
No, not really. No, sorry. We tend to have like a little weird humor here, everybody. You guys know this, but we'll move on. Another favorite scene. Let's go. Who's got one? Rob, you
yeah,
go.
I like the fart sound scene where Leota's trying to apologize for what she did to Peacemaker. So on the show, what I'm sure you said spoilers ahead for everything that's happened.
Oh, a ton.
Yeah, so Leota's actually Waller's daughter.
Yes.
And so Waller's trying to frame Peacemaker by putting, this diary that has all these things, that's making him look like a psychopath. And so she does, frame him. And later, Peacemaker finds out about it, and she's trying to apologize because she did feel bad. She didn't want to do something like that to, because she's getting to know Peacemaker. And every time she tries to apologize, he's like, and then all of a sudden Vigilante joins in, and it was just fart fest of them doing these raspberries back and forth, and they just wouldn't let her talk. And I thought it was the funniest thing, because it's like they're just being such dicks.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought it was actually a pretty cool scene.
I really did enjoy when they were in the van all together after the last mission, and they were singing together with a glam rock music. Now, mind you, of all things, John Cena, a person who did a rap CD and grew up on hip hop, had to do a rap CD while he was a WWE wrestler, is into glam metal. And I'm like, you knew he had to love these bands. But the fact is that we get certain instances. He's talking to, all right, the butterfly chick that he rails in the bar at the very end. And he's screaming out, America, as he's behind her. And then he takes her to her apartment and he's still doing her. But
Right.
falls in love while he's half naked looking at her record collection going, oh my God, you got this. You got Cinderella. Oh my God. And at the very end, of course, he winds up killing her, but taking her record collection in the end, but continuing on with that theme that James Gunn does because it's music.
Right.
And we get the glam metal feel, not just from the intro of the show itself, not I'm saying movie, but show, when they do the little dance, which is the best part of the show, and I don't skip it one bit. Anytime I watch this show, I have to sit there and watch them do their little weird dance, especially when Robert Patrick does his little scuttle and hip jolt, and you got the little guy jumping on, Judo Master jumping on John Cena's shoulder and then Eagly coming out.
Right.
How ridiculous is it? But
Yeah.
the fact that it is glam metal. And I was, honestly, listeners, you guys know me. I grew up in music. I've been playing bass guitar since I was 16. I played in a lot of metal bands. I was more of the other metal bands like Iron Maiden, Metallica, Pantera, all that good stuff. All the heavier stuff. We hated glam back in the 80s. As I've gotten older, I've learned to appreciate and understand and like it as well. So I do like that stuff. I always loved Guns N' Roses because honestly, it was regular rock and roll. But the fact that John Cena, of all things, a guy who I thought, first off, of all things, was a rapper because he put out a rap CD in WWE. And then James Gunn and his love of music in general and putting that into his movies, shows, and everything else, and picking out key songs. He had Motley Crue songs in there, Cinderella songs in there. The soundtrack in itself, I'm pretty sure there's going to be a Spotify playlist for Peacemaker.
Oh, there
And
is
you can
already.
find
Yeah,
it.
there is already, and as a matter of fact,
Yeah.
there are albums out there. Let me tell you, the I would have to say the soundtrack budget for this was insane.
Yeah.
Like
Had
the
to be.
amount of money they gave to, like, because paying for the rights, to play these things, costs a lot of money.
House of Pain, everybody.
I mean, it was
House of Pain
insane.
was a song, not the band
So,
House of Pain.
yeah. Yeah, no,
But, yeah.
it was pretty cool. I mean, yeah, no, he did a good job with that. I like like you said, the intro. Believe it or not, that intro, and here's a funny tidbit on that.
Okay.
The person, first of all, that intro was recorded, it was done in one day, and they did rehearse it in a school cafeteria. And I think that's where they also filmed it. But the person who, I think the choreographer was, believe it or not, Alan Tudyk's wife.
Oh.
So yeah, so for you guys who don't know he's the guy who played
Wash on Firefly.
yes. So his wife is the one that actually, and he actually had Alan Tudyk actually did stand-ins for John Cena when John Cena couldn't be there for rehearsal. So it was very interesting, yeah, but it was just something that, James Gunn decided, hey, I want a musical number in the beginning.
Yeah. Nice.
Steve, do you have another favorite scene?
The shootout in the warehouse, the one that actually gets him on the police's radar when he's got his X-ray vision helmet, he goes through, especially the way it starts was like they're going to go in quiet and try to be undercover. And like, as soon as he sees the first butterfly, he just shoots and kills them. And Leota's like, what are you doing? He's like, butterfly. And like every time he sees a butterfly, he just shoots it. And that whole fight scene through there. And then just the running gag of Leota not being able to do action. And then in that last episode, we see her, do these action moves and firing 2 guns and killing multiple people to go in there and save Harcourt was just great. But I love that running gag throughout the season of every time she tries to go into action, people stop her and they're like, no, don't. And like one time Harcourt's like, ease up, Jason Bourne, like that to her. But then that payoff in the last episode where she's like, I was born for this shit, and she just takes the 2 guns and goes crazy. I thought was great.
Yeah.
So that running, that it's not one scene in particular, but that running gag of her being so excited about being in the action and then not being allowed to be part of the action until she has to. So
yeah, it was a thing where she just like, because of course she's not used to that, but at the same time she was a little excited about it, but she did not want to do it. And I thought the funny part was that every time John Cena, kills somebody, then she went ahead and shot the person. He had to just like, listen, stop shooting them after I kill them. You don't have to do that. So it was just one of that. It was like you said, that running gag of just her trying to come into herself. I think to try to be like this action person.
Yeah.
One scene that I did enjoy was remember the couple in the apartment that he had to hide out in, and he took them hostage.
Oh,
and then later he winds up in bed with them together.
No, it's him and Vigilante do a three-way with the wife. The husband's not involved.
Yeah. Oh, that's right.
Vigilante's in bed. He still has his mask on because he does. This is before his identity is revealed. He's still got his mask on, and he's in bed with them, and they're like smoking pot. And he's like, 3 years ago, I would have to shoot and kill you guys for smoking pot.
That's right. Yeah. Yes. I forgot.
And now this is legal.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I just love that. Freddie Stroma, I did look it up. He is from United Kingdom.
Is he?
So,
Okay.
Yes. So he is English. So he does cover up his accent very well and does it so well. The fact, the way he plays Vigilante himself, and even the way that, if you think about Chris, Peacemaker himself talks about Adrian, he says, it's like, oh, that was my friend's stupid kid brother that was all into his like D&D and all that stuff. Everything. Mind you, he's been following Chris all this time.
Right.
And being Vigilante and blowing stuff up. And that's also a cool thing too that I like, with the fact that they get together as Vigilante and Peacemaker and they just love blowing crap up.
Yeah.
And that's how they release tension. And the microwave, the popcorn machine, everything out in the back, and they just have fun shooting at each other, like the crossbow to the head, everything. It was like, those scenes were so hilarious just to watch, just to see the humor in it and how dangerous it is.
Well, yeah, and it's just like, let's go ahead.
No, I was gonna say it's funny because when you first see the character, you say to yourself, okay, he's kind of a dorky kind of character and
unstable.
Right, and unstable, but you don't realize, okay, maybe, he's just a wannabe, vigilante or something like that. And then when he goes to jail and he confronts, the group of
Augie.
Yeah, Augie and his group, and all of a sudden he just takes down the entire group in such an
you see how capable he really is.
Yes,
yeah.
And you're like, oh, this guy's dangerous. This guy's not only crazy, but this guy's completely dangerous.
Well, that's another one of those running things throughout the whole season, right? Is that the kind of the juxtaposition of Chris and Vigilante. The difference between the two of them is Chris is not a psychopath. You know, Chris, like we talked about earlier, he has to have a reason to kill someone. Vigilante, they make it's peppered through, and it's like little comments every once in a while from that other characters make. They go, yeah, that guy's a sociopath. Yeah, like we can tell that guy has no emotion. That guy is definitely crazy. And then like when they kidnap the nurses at the animal shelter. Right. And after they leave, they're like, man, I really feel for those guys. Yeah. Except for that one in blue. He's crazy. Yeah. So that's another one of those running that I look forward to that continuing in the second season, because that's another one of those things. One of those moments I was going to talk about was the fact that nobody there's a lot of people that died. Don't get me wrong. Like the cops, but none of our major characters except for Mern, none of our major characters died. Like we know that Leota is still alive. We know that Harcourt is still alive and she's having her physical therapy. Chris is there. Vigilante is there. Mm-hmm. So Economist goes back to Belle Reve. We see him go back to Belle Reve and settle into some office and open his laptop and put the little picture of him and Vigilante. Yeah, in the van,
right.
On his desk. So we know we're going to have these characters come back in the second season. So I'm intrigued. We'll talk about that later about what we're looking forward to. But that whole running gag of Vigilante being crazy and a psychopath was great. And Freddie Strome, he played it so well.
Oh, absolutely. Just
that straight face. That whole conversation they have about sarcasm when he says, well, if you're going to use sarcasm, maybe you should warn people first, because he doesn't recognize sarcasm. And so, yeah.
It sounds like Drax and him would get along.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's funny because in the after credits, and one thing I liked about the show was the after credits expand on certain scenes that you could tell that James Gunn said, okay, I don't need to really run this gag too long, but he left it towards the end. And I thought that was funny because that part that you just said where, about the sarcasm, he really goes into it going, well, like if you say, hey, I'm about to, be sarcastic. And then he just tells them, like, and they're looking at him like an idiot. Like, that's not that's not how it works. So, but yeah, the after credits are, I think, one of my favorites, which caught me off guard because I didn't know there were after credits or they didn't warn anybody. And then once you see it in the first episode, you just look forward to it all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think I stumbled upon it by accident in like the second or the third episode when I was originally watching this, when it was week to week. I just happened to leave it running one day, and I was like I said, like the third or fourth episode, maybe third episode, and I was like, wait, there's an after credits scene, and then I had to go back to the first two episodes,
right,
and watch them again to see is there after credit scenes on all of these, and I was like, sure enough, there is. There's the couple, picking out the person in the police lineup with all the pictures, and the wife saying, "Can I keep this one?"
One person that we're leaving out a lot is Clemson. You said that we didn't lose anybody. I thought we saw Clemson get crushed.
He did.
We know that. Yeah, so he's gone.
He's dead. Yeah, I mean, after they discussed, after the butterfly they took, or I think escaped.
Oh yeah, I mean the cops. Like I said, the cops all the cops died. Yeah, I mean, yeah, the detective, the captain,
Larry and Sophie are definitely dead.
Right.
The chief of police, they all did. But like I said, of our main characters, like economists, of our let me go this way with our protagonists,
right?
Basically, we didn't really lose anybody except for Merle.
That is true,
right?
And we knew we should have known that we were going to lose Merle, especially once we discovered that he had a butterfly in him. So
true,
that is true.
I was hoping that he would probably be in the second season, but I mean the way it's funny how they that when she picked him up, who was it?
The detective, I think it was the Asian detective,
Annie Chang, who plays
Right. Yeah.
But Hardcore, she picked him up, and he was just like dying in her hands, and it was just like, you guys just made like some praying mantis, have a like this little scene, this.
Oh yes, Merle. I'm sorry, you're right.
Yeah,
right.
Well, it was heartfelt too, the way he described how, because you get Leota talking what she does because she gets Peacemaker's X-ray helmet,
right?
Puts it on and sees him for the first time. The next episode, they have this conversation, and now Harcourt saying, "Hey, I realized who he was because he got blown up by a bomb, and nothing really did anything."
Right.
And she goes, "Oh, and Waller doesn't know anything of it, so we're keeping that from her." And the fact is that he describes how he took the most, because Leota was like, "You just took somebody's life. You took over their body." And he had to describe what it feels like waking up every day with the memories of this crazy person that killed people and how disgusting that they are, and how he has to live that tragedy over and over again every day.
Right.
While he's living in that body as a butterfly and controlling that body.
And if you think about it, ultimately they did what Merle wanted to do, because Merle's whole thing was the reason he broke off from the other butterflies was he said humanity needs to have its own opportunity to make its own mistakes. We can't rule over them and just stop them from making their mistakes. And that's basically what Chris says at the end, or what they just, when Chris decides to kill the cow at the end, is he's like, well, did I just kill the world? And Leota's like, maybe, but at least we don't have to live under our bug overlords.
Right.
So ultimately they accomplished Merle's mission, what the mission was that he wanted them to do. So
correct. And again, that's why I always said, it's amazing how this show, as funny as it is and as risky as it is, every character had really good character development. Even the alien, you kind of, felt for it at the end when he got crushed, because you understood that, hey, he's just going against his own kind because he just doesn't feel like this is right, so again. Well,
and then you even get Goff on one hand. You get Goff because she's like pleading with Chris to let us help you,
right?
And then at the end, she ends up there on the porch with him, and he brings out some of the amber liquid. I don't know how much he's got left, how long he's going to be able to keep her alive, but
he probably took a few canisters.
All right. Anything else that you'd like to talk about, or should we move on to quotes?
The two types of babies. There's babies that come out of vaginas, and then there's butt babies. Remember that one?
This is why I wish I had binged it more recently and missed some of those precious moments.
It's like, my brother told me there are two types of babies. Normal babies come out of vaginas, and then the crazy ones come out of butt babies. And I was just dying when I heard that. I was like, oh my God.
Well, and like when his brother and he are in the room together and they're listening to the rock and roll, and the brother shows him the devil sign,
right.
and young Chris is like, is that white power? And his brother's like, F white power, because he can see. So really not buying into the dad's prejudices and racism. And we see that Chris didn't really, even though people say he was killing more, that he was a racist. I don't think him as a character, we never saw that, not in the Suicide Squad or in this.
Right.
We didn't see Chris as a character as a racist. And so I wonder if all of that was just a reflection from his father that was reflected onto him because of the things he was doing.
Yeah, I mean, when you see the scene, I mean, and it's sad actually. And again, this is that development of that character. It's sad to know that his father, being who he was, not only was he a piece of shit. That's why, when you look at his father, who is actually, not only a racist, hanging out with all these rednecks, but the fact that he's actually pitting the two brothers against each other so they could fight, and they're egging them on to, hit each other and stuff like that. And when he finally hits his brother, and his brother dies, because you could tell his brother died from the punch that he got hit.
Yeah, he was foaming at the mouth, so I don't know what.
I think he probably got some kind of seizure or something happened, but his father blamed him. And it's like, are you crazy? I mean, you're the one that actually made them do this. Mm-hmm. So they're just, and when you see them in the room, of course, they're listening to music and stuff. And that's what kids do, they love that kind of stuff. And here it is, you have a father that just decided that, hey, not only did he, did the child die, but now he's going to blame everything on this poor kid from that point on. And that's why, he is, that's why Peacemaker is who he is when he grows up. And he's just kind of like, I guess, divided in everything. He wants to love his dad and get the approval of his dad, but he still recognizes his father is just a horrible human being, and of course he even kills his own father. And it's funny because he killed him and then didn't realize at that moment that he just killed his father until he pulled the trigger, and that was another part that, when he was on the floor crying and stuff like that, it's like you could tell that, this is a person that's been hurting for years. And and it was just such a great moment, and as funny as the show was, but it really showed some heart, when it came to that.
It had times and moments that really did tug at your heartstrings, and it showed who they were, as stupid as they were. Like, look at Chris.
Right.
And he had to grow as a character. And, between Harcourt, Leota, even Myrn himself, and dyed-haired dude, Kanto, or what's his name?
Economist didn't die. He just broke his leg.
No,
Yeah.
but I'm just saying, but he had to grow. Economist grew on him.
Right.
And they kind of grew a rapport and feeling. So they kind of grew as a group together. And they grew on Chris, and Chris grew on them.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And even Vigilante, of all things, too, grew on all of them as well as Chris, because he realized, I need this. This is like my family at this point.
Yes. And that was
And
great.
it's what you said earlier. What you talked about earlier is James Gunn has this from the Guardians of the Galaxy movies to the Suicide Squad to this TV series. He has a way of being able to blend the comedy, the action, and even the drama, and get that out of his actors.
Correct.
Because he didn't direct every episode, but I'm sure he had a hand in just about every.
I think
every
he
aspect
wrote.
of
I
this
think he
production.
wrote every episode, and he directed a few, but I forgot who the other person was. But yeah, no, that's. I think that's one of the great things. I think that's one of the great things about him and his talent is how he brings that out. When you watch Guardians of the Galaxy, how the hell do you make a raccoon and a tree become so iconic? But he did, and it was just, and like at the end of Guardians of the Galaxy, I mean, you felt for Groot dying, and then on the second Guardians it was all about how Rocket was just alienating everybody because he was such a douchebag. But he just makes like these characters that are just offbeat characters that are just like the rejects and stuff like that. He just makes you feel for them, and I like that. I just thought that he did a great job on that. So
he knows how to develop the characters,
yes,
to make us love them. Yeah,
exactly.
And I really do enjoy that too. Guardians of the Galaxy came out of nowhere. Peacemaker came literally out of nowhere, just the same. Because who would have thought that they would create a character, a standalone show about this particular character, who at the very end of the Suicide Squad, everybody hated.
Yes.
Because of him killing Flag, who is the last person that we had from the first, Suicide Squad.
Let me tell you, when I saw, here's the other thing that's great about James Gunn is the first Suicide Squad movie was just atrocious, and of course they had Will Smith on it and stuff like that, which you would think, Will Smith being in it is gonna bring in a lot of money. This thing was just a horrible movie, and then comes James Gunn and he just kind of reboots that the whole Suicide Squad and makes you love these characters all of a sudden. Yes. And while Peacemaker was that douchebag that, everybody hated, when you hear about, there's a show about Peacemaker, my first thought was, out of the dumbest character of them all, you're going to make a freaking show? And it just turned out to be a great show. And it's like, he just has the ability to just grab these characters that nobody likes and just say, not only am I going to make a great show, I'm going to make you fall in love with this damn character. And you're going to want to see more. And it's true. And it's been like that ever since.
Any other quotes that we could talk about?
Oh, and quotes. Oh my God! Like
there are so many. There's one that makes me laugh. That I'm forgetting who said it, and I'm pretty sure it's Chris, as he usually is. And it's like, if we have a kid, I'd like to name her Octopussy, and if it's
Leota.
a boy,
that was Leota.
Yeah,
Sharknado.
Yeah.
I forgot where I got it from. I thought it was hilarious.
No, that was actually great. I like when he had the X-ray, the X-ray helmet, and he's like, "Can you maybe up the contrast on the X-ray a little so my
muscles look great?"
Yeah, so I have more definitions on my muscle or something like that. It's just like the kind of stuff that you hear and say is like, "You're such a dumbass."
Yeah, and the doctor's like, "This is not for your Tinder profile, Chris." I like the one you've got here when he's talking about Batman, and he's like, he's a jackass who wrestles with murderers dressed like clowns and throws them in prison so they can break out of prison and then murder more people. That was one of those.
That was awesome because it's true. When you think about it, that's exactly what Batman does. He just, he never kills. He puts them in Arkham Asylum or whatever it is, but they always break out. So when he covered that, I was like, you got it right.
I just love what Economist says about, he goes, oh, sweet, we have a piano. That's useful for Black Ops.
Yeah.
When I get in the office.
The one that actually made me laugh was Wookiees have teeth in their assholes. That's that's canon.
Yeah.
And then
The
just because
conspiracy
that child
theories.
is unattractive doesn't mean I want to kill it.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
This goes into how racist that the White Dragon is, and how Robert Patrick has a ching chong chickadee chong chong. And she just responds back, it's like, yeah, you just said you just shat on my head and blah blah blah.
Right. No, she just threw it right back at him. That was another thing about that character. It was just as much as Robert Patrick's character was always throwing these racist things at her, she just knew how to turn it around and just whip it right back.
Like the whole chopsticks thing, and then she's like, fork. And her partner's like, why not a spoon? She's like, everybody uses a spoon.
I like when he was talking actually to the janitor in the beginning. He's like, he bangs chicks, good for him. He fucks dudes, got no problems with that. He starts fucking fish, that's taking it a step too far.
Well, and then at the end, when Aquaman is standing there and he's like, I hate that rumor, and the Flash like, it's not a rumor.
He goes, fuck you, Barry. I love that. That was, it is funny because that was such a great little scene, which was shocking. When I first saw that, I was like, oh, I can't believe they did that. And at first I thought, all right, they're just going to do the whole, they put them in the background and you don't see their faces. But then all of a sudden you see Jason Momoa and Ezra Miller. And I was hoping they did they bought the other two actors in, but they didn't. But
No.
it was actually a cool scene.
And they filmed it like apart big time in two different studios too. They weren't even in the same room.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
I heard about that because he was
That is so
he was
wild.
filming Aquaman and Ezra Miller was filming The Flash, and they
Flash.
actually recorded that one scene that they're together separately.
Interesting.
I just love when Vigilante screams out. He goes, "I'm just looking from behind a trash can. It's a normal thing to do." Because they all noticed that he was there.
Yeah,
We see
yeah.
you. You're in costume.
That's totally inappropriate. Her tits are way too big to be sugar tits.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna apologize to everybody who's hearing this. I mean, we're just throwing out quotes from the show. It's just the absurdity of this whole thing. It's just that's what makes it funny.
Yeah, just like if someone doesn't have a pinky toe, they'd fall over. Vigilante is so
Yeah.
It's all the little. Let me tell you again. It's like we were saying, Mark. It just every episode 7 to 10 to 20 things that you could just say. All of them were just ridiculous, funny things. Great quotes.
Yeah, it's the most important toe in the human body, though.
Yeah. So, I think your listeners honestly should vote to see if they really want you to cover each episode. Because each episode, if we cover each episode, we could definitely go over all the stuff that they said. And it's great.
Oh, big time. Yeah,
It
because
would be
every
fun.
episode will have at least a good 5 quotes.
Yes. Absolutely.
All right, well, I think we're done with quotes because we're going to just drive it into the dirt. All right.
Yeah, no, it's great.
So, where are we next? Well, let's talk about some news. So, Rob, you have some news based upon James Gunn and his announcements for the DCU. So let's move right along into that.
Yeah, so James Gunn actually just came out, a few days ago with news about, because everybody's been waiting for, hey, what's going to happen with the DCU? this whole thing, the way DC and Warner Brothers has been handling that property has been pretty shitty. I mean, Zack Snyder did his own version, but then, of course, Zack Snyder leaving Justice League because, of course, he had a tragedy with his daughter, and Joss Whedon coming in and just really messing it all up. It just seems like everybody that was doing a movie for DC, for Warner Brothers, that had a DC character, they were kind of going off in their own direction. And there was really while they were trying to make it all within the same universe, there was really no way it kind of like seemed to, be cohesive or something like that. And in the end, it just came, it got to the point where it's like, oh, okay, so that's, what they call elsewhere, where you had the Robert Pattinson Batman, which has nothing to do with the Zack Snyderverse. Then you had, of course, what was it, the Joker. Which also, two amazing movies. And that's what really gets me is that those two movies were just absolutely great compared to the Snyderverse. But there was just nothing there. So, of course, Warner Brothers did exactly what, they wanted to do, which is have their own Kevin Feige. And so they asked James Gunn to do this. And everybody's been waiting to see. And then James Gunn, of course, the biggest debacle was where The Rock, Dwayne Johnson tried to basically take over the DCU by saying that, he's going to, they're going to restart the DCU and all these things. And, the hierarchy of power is going to change in the DC universe. He tried to bring in Henry Cavill at the end of, and I think that really rubbed off, the executives in Warner Brothers because one, Black Adam didn't do very well at all. It's a horrible movie. But two is the fact that he was just very arrogant about the whole thing, and I think he only cared about his own brand. So they put James Gunn in there, and James Gunn basically gave the boot to everybody, saying that he's restarting everything.
Oh, rebooting the whole DCU.
Rebooting the whole DCU, and everybody was expecting, okay, so that means Henry Cavill is gone, that means Gal Gadot is gone, everybody's gone.
Except for Shazam, because they're going to continue on because we got another Shazam coming out.
Well, here's the whole thing. The Shazam, Aquaman, and and The Flash, those three movies are still going to be, they're still going to let those out as, hey, this is the end of the Snyderverse. And then The Flash is supposed to kind of reboot the entire DC universe or something like that.
Yes, and there's a theory I have regarding that. Because the idea in theory is literally you got Flashpoint. And within the Flash movie, you're going to get Flashpoint, which changes everything. You're going to have multiversal people,
correct,
just like in Marvel. So you can have different versions coming in. They could still retain Shazam because he's still a mystical character and he can't be changed because it is a bit mystical.
Right.
They could change what Superman looks like because it could be from another infinite Earth that's out there. Same thing with Flash. Flash could die in this and another version of Flash could pop up. For all we know, we could get the Flash from the TV show, the CW.
Yeah.
Grant Gustin. And we could get that Flash to replace Ezra Miller if they feel free that, hey, Ezra is not doing what he needs to. Let's get the person that's been leading the reins in the show and people love. Or we just recast that person completely.
The problem is that, so while they said, hey, we're going to recast, and of course, I guess the biggest thing that people were upset about was the fact that Henry Cavill announced, they made Henry Cavill announce that he was going to come back. And so many people were so happy that finally Henry Cavill is going to be Superman again. And that Man of Steel was going to come out, hopefully in a year or two or something like that. And that we finally were going to have another Superman movie. And then James Gunn comes in and says, nope, we're not using Henry Cavill, which meant, hey, he's going to reboot everybody. But then with his announcement, all of a sudden he's keeping some people, but he's not going to, so he's keeping part of the Snyderverse, which he said that was not going to be, that era was gone, but he's still keeping Peacemaker. He's still keeping Suicide Squad. He might keep a few other things, and it's like, so he's picking and choosing. So just to kind of give you a rundown, so here are like the projects that he actually announced. So he announced Creature Commandos, which Creature Commandos is, I guess, it's just a group of, like Frankenstein, vampire or whatever it is. I never read the actual comic book itself.
It was more of a DC version of the monster, like Steve.
Correct.
Well, actually, Rob, you and I talked about this when we covered
Werewolf by Night.
Werewolf by Night,
Right.
at that time, and they had that kind of monster squad thing where they had
Correct.
Man-Thing, Morbius, and Ghost Rider and all that. It's kind of DC's version of that.
Right, exactly. So they're having that. They're having a TV spinoff of Waller so she's gonna get her own, her own
Show.
TV, her own show. They're gonna have a Superman Legacy. It's called Superman Legacy, which is gonna be a younger Superman. I've heard
Yes.
from some people thinking that what they're gonna do is not really have a younger Superman, but really introduce Jonathan Kent, who is Superman's son. So it's kind of like up in the air, and it's kind of a rumor going out there. But they're gonna have also the Green Lantern TV show, which is gonna have Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart mostly be like detectives with So they're
Detectives in space.
no detectives on Earth. Yes, exactly. That look on your face was the same look I had on my face.
I have that questionable, like, dumb look on my face.
Yeah.
But okay.
No, it's one of those things that a lot of people are like, "What?" I mean, you're not gonna show the Lantern Corps. You're not gonna show Sinestro. You're not gonna show any of that. So they're also gonna do Paradise Lost. So Paradise Lost is basically a prequel to Wonder Woman. So
Yes.
it's gonna take place in, of course, in Wonder Woman's world, and it's going to be more like a Game of Thrones, from what I hear. I'm like,
With Amazonians.
Yeah,
they're
but
literally, it's probably the history of the Amazonians and how they came to be.
right,
In this case, she actually is molded by clay from, who was it, Zeus?
something like that. I'm not sure what the whole thing is, but this is supposed to be in her, in Themyscira. It's set to elaborate on the political, drama, like Game of Thrones. It will also be between the two Wonder Woman films, which suggests Gal Gadot may not totally be out of the DCU, which is crazy because it's like, all right, they stopped Patty Jenkins from doing her movie because they
Correct.
said, no, you can't do that. So there's kind of a lot of like, he picked and choose what he wants to do. But I keep saying, and I would love to interview, Henry Cavill, what did you do
To piss people off.
to piss Warner Brothers off? That, I mean, no matter how many times they change that regime, they just won't let you do Superman.
I did The Witcher. It's literally his answer, because literally he already had a contract signed for The Witcher at the time. What was it, on HBO, Steve? Right?
The Witcher's Netflix.
Oh no, Netflix, on Netflix.
Yeah,
right,
So
on
he was
Netflix,
already
yeah.
signed. He was already signed to that contract with Netflix, but he canceled that contract, and that's why we got a different version of a Witcher coming out. And he devoted himself to DC right around that time when this changeover happened, and he lost out on his contract. So now, hey, Marvel's picking and choosing. We could get Captain Britain for all we know. We could get somebody new.
Right. I mean, well, Henry Cavill, I mean, the thing is that when he was in The Witcher, so if nobody knows out there, Henry Cavill is basically what I would say one of the biggest nerds and pop culture fan out there.
Along with John Manganiello.
Yeah, but except he's extremely good looking, and then of course he's he's basically the best of both worlds, like the dream that we all wish we could be. But
yeah,
he's a big fan of The Witcher, and he knows the lore very well. And the writers on the show did not want to follow the lore from the books or the lore from the game itself. They wanted to go in a different direction. And Henry Cavill was really pissed off about that because he's like, that's not the character. So he was going to so from what I hear, he was going to leave that show anyway because the writers just did not have, any kind of respect for the character itself. So when this whole thing got announced with Superman, he figured he was going to go there. But then, of course, James Gunn said no. But believe it or not, now he's going to be part of a... So Amazon is actually just picked up the rights to Warhammer, and he's going to be in that show, from what they say. But to move along, so the next one is The Brave and the Bold. That's going to be with Batman, and for the first time, we're going to get actually what's his name?
Damian Wayne.
Damian Wayne. Which, again, you have a lot of people saying there's a lot of history on how Damian Wayne was introduced to Batman. Correct. How are they going to do that here? So there's also Booster Gold, which I'm going to be very honest with you. I have never been a fan of that character. But there's a Booster Gold movie. And a lot of it's, a lot of these things are going to be also on HBO Max, too, which is kind of weird, too.
They're gonna Not necessarily, because we got Doomsday Squad. That is still available.
Right. No, but I'm saying, so look, Booster Gold is going to be on HBO Max. Paradise Lost will be HBO Max. And so is, I believe, Lanterns, which is the Green Lantern. And
I can understand
that. Right.
Okay.
And Waller. And then the Creature Commando is going to be an animated series.
Which is very good because DC puts out decent,
And then there's going to be a Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, which is actually is adapting Tom King's recent miniseries that he just came out with. And then, of course, Swamp Thing.
Which is going to be a horror movie, and then we're going to get Blue Beetle as well.
Right. So my thought on this is, and again, I'll see what James Gunn comes out with, but my thought is this. So when the MCU actually did their stuff, we, as people that have been reading comic books for a long time and we grew up with them, we know, the main characters out there from Marvel and DC. So Captain America, Spider-Man, the Hulk, Thor, you know all these characters, and these characters were characters that we have seen before, either on TV shows, on crappy movies, cartoons. So our thought was always, what if they ever put these great characters that have been around for 50 plus years in a movie and make them look great? And that's exactly what the MCU did. And then of course, then once they got people hooked, that's when they started doing the offshoot characters and stuff like that. In this case, I just feel like James Gunn said, well, the Superman stuff is not, as a matter of fact, the Superman one, the Superman Legacy, is not even going to be the first movie coming out. That's coming out like in 3 years. He's putting other movies ahead of that. And I'm like, your superstars are your Trinity, Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. If you are going to reboot this, then
do it in sequence with the main characters.
Yeah, put those characters out first.
And then bring them together as a Justice
with
League.
Other smaller ones where you start introducing things, but all of a sudden you're introducing characters I had never even heard of, or I could even care less for. But this is James Gunn again. And then James Gunn, like I said, like we were just saying about, Peacemaker, is that he knows how to take these characters that really
are unknown and make them like Guardians of the Galaxy.
Exactly.
And the Suicide Squad that we got, because we are going to see the Weasel again.
Exactly.
And we're going to see possibly Harley Quinn. I wouldn't be surprised if he brings her back as that particular character. We might get a different Joker along the way.
Right, and we don't know how. I mean, from what they say is that, so here's what they also said. They said, well, James Gunn is going to actually take anything that has to do with DC. So any animated show, any TV show, or any movie in the theaters, all have to be within the same universe. But he still is going to have a Joker movie. He's still going to have Robert Pattinson's Batman, which has nothing to do with this universe. And he's also, I forgot what the other one, the other Superman movie that's being written with Michael B. Jordan in it, that is still going. So it's like, so you want to bring all these universes together, but yet you're going to have all these different projects out there. All you're going to do is really confuse the audience, I think. Unlike, where MCU, has made sure that everything that comes out in movies actually does relate with each other. So I'm very curious on how he's going to do this. While a lot of other people are saying, oh, well, it doesn't have to all be related to each other. And I was like, yeah, you're right. But at this point, bring your Trinity first and then start. Because I guarantee you, Guardians of the Galaxy would not have been a big success if the MCU wasn't already established for several years. You know, maybe the people would have liked it and they say, oh, it's a great movie and it was funny and stuff like that. But the fact that it's part of the MCU just made people go, oh, definitely want to see it because this has to do with the whole, you know, Infinity saga. So we'll see. But I was not very thrilled when I heard this. I was kind of like, you know, off put on this. As a matter of fact, when this came out, Fire James Gunn was trending. Hashtag Fire James Gunn was trending a lot. You know, so a lot of people are confused and a lot of people are just kind of like, some people are excited. Some people are just kind of like, At this point, I'm kind of the same way. I'm just like, well, I guess I'll wait to see what he does. But I have really no confidence on this whole. I'm not excited about it because if you think about it, The Flash, Aquaman, and what was the other one? Those movies, if they're not going to be part of if the Zack Snyderverse is no longer going to be around, why do I care to even see those movies? Because they're not leading to any. I mean, I'm going to see them anyway. Let's be honest.
I'm going to see them anyway. The Flash, I have more interest in based upon Flashpoint, who we're supposed to see, which literally is Keaton,
right,
and possibly Batfleck. And I need to see my Batman, my original Batman from what was it, 89?
Right, 89 Keaton, Batman.
89 Keaton Batman. I got to see that. I already saw 89 Keaton with Mr. Kevin Smith himself in a cinema that he owns. And I had a great time going back in time with a bunch of Smodcastle fans for that.
A lot of people are excited. Don't get me wrong. A lot of people are excited to see, Keaton go back as Batman and stuff. As a matter of fact, he was supposed to be in the Batgirl movie, which got scrapped.
Which they canned. And they pretty much filmed the whole thing.
They filmed the whole thing. It was so horrible. They were saying that it was such a horrible.
I wouldn't be surprised if it shows up later on, just like a Snyder cut. Later on,
they cannot do that. So the agreement was with the U.S. government was that if they are going to put it as a law so they can recover their money, they can never ever show that it's gone forever. If
not necessarily. All right. I want all of you convention goers that are like myself that love your bootlegs. Go to your convention because I guarantee you in another year or two, you will see a bootleg of that particular movie on DVD.
I doubt it. You know why? Because the day that got announced, the filmmakers, everybody that was involved with that movie, all the servers that had the movies, those files were gone.
Damn.
Yes, those files were gone. The director, everybody, producers, effects people, they were like, whoa, what happened to everything? It's like, nope, Warner Brothers took all that and all of a sudden decided they can't, because they didn't want to risk anyone making copies of it, because everybody knew, okay, we're going to cancel this, but we're not going to tell anybody. So they took all the copies and then they
did tell everybody.
Right, and then they announced that, hey, this is canceled. And the reason they did that is because if at any point any of those things actually get out, Warner Brothers owes the United States government those taxes, that they receive back. So they did have a private showing with the people who made it. So everybody that was involved in the crew and stuff like that, they had a one-time private showing and said, hey, this is what we did. You see it, but that's it. Done. And then after that, they took everything off the servers. They put that in a sealed vault. Now, will it ever get out? Don't know. And if they do, who knows what the repercussions are.
Hey.
But that was the word, is that they took everything off the server. I mean, the directors were like, what happened to the movie? And it's like, nope, you don't have access to it anymore.
Yeah. Well, we got a Roger Corman Fantastic Four that's still out there in bootleg. So obviously it's still a possibility, but that had to do with
keeping
rights. Their rights.
Correct.
And they kept their rights because they had to create a crappy film in order to maintain those rights because they were sold way back when.
Exactly.
But I wouldn't be surprised, not in the near future, but in some sort of future, that will show up. Very much like the Eric Stoltz Back to the Future, 75% of that movie being done with Eric Stoltz instead of Michael J. Fox, and eventually we'll see that out of the vaults.
They've shown pieces of a lot of that. I mean,
just a few snippets of real, but we don't have the whole thing.
Right. They never filmed a lot. I think they filmed like I don't think it was 75%. It was something like like the very beginning, and they just said, "Yeah, this guy's just not working out," and that's when they got.
No, they said they filmed
Did they?
at least a good
Okay.
75%. So,
All right.
and I always go by that because there are a lot of Back to the Future's enthusiasts like Ben Beck, who we all know, and Ben from Mulholland loves Back to the Future, and he'll probably agree with me. He'll
Right.
probably tell me I'm wrong too, and say, "No, it's only 65%. Mark, you're an idiot," and it's true.
65.35%.
There you go. Yeah, but regardless, I wouldn't be surprised if some of it comes out at a later point, and we will get some sort of snippet of it. But a majority of the movie was done, and they could easily go direct to video, just like they did with Snyder Cut. And yes, the government will take ownership of it. Like you were saying, Rob, there's a lot for us to look into when it comes to the DCU.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to it just as much as you are. Steve, I'm sure you're interested in seeing some of that stuff too.
Yeah, some of that stuff intrigues me. I've never been a big DC fan, but yeah.
But to move right along, just because that was something I wanted to bring up. Rob had all the inside scoop because he'd been following all the news, and he's been like itching to get that out, and I've been loving to itch to hear that.
Oh, and we'll get into it like on the podcast. There's one of our guys. There's one of the new guys are going to be there. He definitely
For
has
fantasy picks.
Yeah, he's definitely going to have a lot to say because he's a filmmaker and things like that. But yeah, no, it's intriguing how this whole thing
Industry.
This whole thing with, especially with Warner Brothers and HBO and Discovery, how the mess that these things are, and how they're trying to fix it and all this stuff. And people are even saying, well, if James Gunn fails, will Warner Brothers continue with this entire plan, or will they fire him right away and get somebody else? Somebody was saying, other people saying, well, will Disney buy off Warner Brothers, which of course at that point the government will get involved and say, listen,
you're franchising at this point.
At this point you're just kind of you're kind of like taking over the entire media business. And as a matter of fact, there's also been like people think that the Fox deal should have never happened. But there's a lot of of that. But that being said, it's been very interesting seeing how like this whole thing with Warner Brothers, and everything that's happening with it is you constantly hearing all this drama behind it. And hopefully, again, let's see if James Gunn does what James Gunn knows how to do. And if he does, and if he pulls this off, let me tell you, this guy has a golden ticket for the rest of his life.
Well, it'll be the Kevin Feige, and Kevin Feige's already give him his blessing too, because he feels that James could actually do it. And if we get James Gunn be the next Kevin Feige for DC, it'll look great. We won't know that until that time when we get that first particular movie or show. And obviously the first show that we've already gotten is obviously Peacemaker, for Warner Brothers, as it is, because it's on HBO Max, and which is what we just covered, everybody. So get back to what we were talking about. But looking forward to season 2. What hopes what are you guys looking forward to seeing when it comes to Peacemaker 2? Steve, do you have any hopes and dreams?
I mean, I already talked a little bit about just furthering these characters along. We're where we leave them at. We're gonna have to have some time pass. It's
a time jump, maybe.
I don't know. I trust whatever he's gonna do. I think he's got a good. It is interesting if Waller is going off into a different television show. How is there going to be a catalyst to bring these characters back together? That's what I'm going to be interested to see. Is we have Chris obviously is not in prison, where he technically should be in prison, right? Still,
technically.
And we have Harcourt doing physical therapy. We have Economist back at Belle Reve. All we saw was Leota go back to her wife. And so I'm interested to see how we're going to get all these characters back together again. If it's going to be some Black Ops mission, is it going to be some furthering of the Butterfly story? Since I hope not. I hope they don't do a furtherance of the Butterfly story.
Same here.
I think
I would
that's
like
done.
it for be a new venture for them. He's gone past his father's issues at this point. He has his collective friends. We know Harcourt is on the mend. Economist still loves his friends and has his desk job.
Right.
Something's going to come about to bring them together, and I think it might be Leota.
Maybe.
And because of Waller, her association, because Waller's her mom. And I wouldn't be surprised if Waller has an issue with something and says, damn it, I need Peacemaker. And then talks to Leota, and Leota says, well, I know where he... But he comes with a friend. His name is Vigilante. And, Mom, I'll be there to rope him in, too. But I need my other friend, like, Economist. Oh, and could Harcourt come here and oversee? And then that would be my hopes and dreams, is that they get roped into some sort of specific mission that Waller is in charge of, but there's none of that, I'm going to put a bomb on your neck to blow up your head. And he is outsourced to bring somebody in. Maybe it's Harley Quinn. Maybe it's another character that is part of the DCU that we haven't seen yet.
Right.
Or somebody that they plan on doing. You never know. Booster Gold, Blue Beetle, who knows? But, yeah, those are my thoughts on that when it comes to that. Rob, any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, my thought on it, well, when I saw the ending, which is that Leota outs her mom, Waller, and tells everyone in a press conference that who the Suicide Squad is and what she's been doing and all the illegal stuff, I'm very interested to see what the outcome of that is, because that's going to get probably,
The government
involved, knowing that, hey, I can't believe this Black Ops, unit has been going on and all these things, and how is that going to affect all the characters also, and things like that. But yeah, I hope they come together in their own way, and I'm sure they're going to come together in their own, crazy way, and I'm sure it's going to be very funny on whichever way they do it, because there's always this show is all about the humor and the outrageousness of things. So that's what I look forward to. I just look forward to, okay, what crazy crap can these guys get themselves into? And just the writing. I'm looking forward to the writing on how cool. If they did a great job here, hopefully they do a great job there. But
I'm pretty sure they'll do the second season just as well and justified as the first one is. Especially with the way the collaboration of all the actors and the writing crew.
Correct.
As well as James Gunn's involvement. So pretty much we covered the idea of Peacemaker, where it's going, what we thought, what we loved, all the quotes. Right now what we'll do is we'll move right along and show some podcast love out there. So to continue on with the DC love that's out there, I'm going to promote something that I just started listening to, and I suggest all of you start listening to as well. And this will lead into a podcast plug, ladies and gentlemen. But the DC one literally is Harley Quinn and the Joker Sound Mind podcast. That's on Spotify. This is a pretty much story-based podcast with Christina Ricci playing the voice of Harley Quinn.
Oh.
And it's really, really good. It's very much a new idea and iteration of how Harley meets Joker and how she's Harley Quinzel when she starts in in Arkham Asylum, meets the Joker himself, and then becomes the typical Harley Quinn as we know. It's about 4 or 5 episodes in right now, and I highly recommend it. You can find that. It's free on Spotify. If you're a Spotify subscriber, obviously free to you as well. But for those of us that have the free pass, you get, ads in there as well.
Right.
But I highly recommend it. So Christina Ricci as Harley Quinn on Spotify's Harley Quinn and the Joker Sound Mind. And like I stated, this kind of moves right along into Podcastica and their coverage of what Christina Ricci is in and involved in. And just to show some love, you got Wendy, you got Penny, you got Daphne, and they're covering Yellow Jackets WTF, and they just put out something recently because, as we all know, Yellow Jackets are coming. Buzz, buzz, buzz. It's coming out in March, as far as I know. And we all look forward to it, but they have covered the trailer, the most recent trailer that has come out for Yellow Jackets. So you could hear that on podcast for Yellow Jackets WTF. You could hear a lot of feedback from myself or from Mr. Steve Brown himself right here. And when they cover on Podcastica for The Cast of Us, which is a podcast based upon The Last of Us. And I think it's a really good show that is also on HBO Max. And I highly recommend that. So if those of you who are into the video game The Last of Us, watch the show on HBO Max of The Last of Us and listen to The Cast of Us on Podcastica. You know, they have their own HBO Max podcast. Everybody has a podcast now. AMC Plus has their own, but as well to cover their own shows. But the Podcastica crew is doing theirs as well. We got Mr. Blog himself, Eric Fenton, Jason himself, Mr. Kabasi, and Ben Beck and Rima Joe. And they're all in there and covering The Last of Us. Occasionally you'll hear Lucy, but you could also hear myself on occasion if I do submit some vocal feedback. But definitely Mr. Steve Brown himself, who will do his continuous versions of live Steving, as we all know. So you get to hear the Steve. And on top of that, you could hear Run for Your Lives, that is now on Podcastica. No longer on the Pyrocore Entertainment Network, but I'm glad they got a great home. Daphne and Paige doing things they love to do and covering everything that makes you run for your lives. So I'm loving the fact that they're doing more and they're putting out stuff weekly, better than us at this point. But here on Panels to Pixels, as well as Adrenaline Cinema Podcast. But also, there is a new show on Podcastica. Steve, what is it called? It's Showtime, folks, right?
Yes, it's Showtime, folks. That's another Podcastica podcast where they just basically they cover whatever movie that those guest hosts choose to cover for that week. It's different people every week from Podcastica, from the Podcasting Network, covering different movies, and I'll occasionally pop in there with a live Steve for them.
Yeah, same here as well, because I think the most recent one that I just listened to was Ben and Kristen, and they were covering Everything Always All at Once. I'm forgetting the name of the movie.
Everything Everywhere. Yeah.
Everything Everywhere. Everything Everywhere All at Once.
That's it.
There we go. Michelle Yeoh movie.
Yeah. Fantastic movie. If you haven't seen it, that is a movie that you must watch.
Yeah, and check out the podcast too. It's on Podcastica, and it's Showtime, folks. And to talk more about podcast, Rob, Fantasy Picks. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so Fantasy Picks, we're going into our second season. We will be having our first episode. Probably it's going to be, I believe, is on the 23rd. And we're going to be our first episode is going to be discussing the state of the industry, basically, of the film industry and the entertainment industry, and where are things going, how we see things happening. I mean, all the mess that's out there, especially with studios and the way media is being distributed nowadays. So yeah, we're going to be discussing that with a new crew that we're getting in. Some of them are filmmakers, others are artists in the actual industry and things like that. So it's going to be very exciting, but we're going to be a little more consistent, hopefully, and we're going to try to be, throw out more podcasts out there. Hopefully this year we'll double or triple our episodes compared to last year. Last year I felt like it was more of a kind of a, what I would say, an experiment on, whether it's something that, because as you know, we always do this as a hobby, and it's not something we're we're being, it's not a career.
We're not getting paid for
We're
it.
not getting paid for it. So, but so yeah, my whole thing was, hey, do I continue with this? But some people like it, and I like it, of course. It takes my mind off of things, but it's a great way to discuss the actual industry, and we have fun with friends and things like that. But yeah, so the first episode is going to be again on the 23rd. Oh, actually, not on the 23rd. I'm sorry. We're recording on the 23rd, and then after that, a few days later, we'll actually release.
So by the end of February, you'll have a new episode of Fantasy Picks Movie Edition on the Piratecore Entertainment Network. So all you have to do is go to piratecoreentertainment.com.
Correct.
Find the links there. Or you could just go to fantasypicksmovieedition.com, right?
That website is not up yet, but yeah, soon it will be too.
Soon it will be. But you also have social media as well too, like
that is correct.
Facebook.com, as well as Instagram and Twitter, possibly.
That's right. So yeah, so that's pretty much it in my part.
Also, you could hear me on Adrenaline Cinema Podcast. You could hear that on the Piratecore Entertainment Network as well. Coming up soon, obviously. You'll be hearing Jerry and I cover Invasion of the Body Snatchers from 1972.
Cool.
Or 71. Well, I forget the year. But it's out there. It was with Donald Sutherland. You got to sit there and listen to it. I still have to finish and finalize the editing on it. That's a little bit of an issue. And then after that, you'll be hearing our friend Danny Espinoda, and he'll be leading the way for us when we cover season 1 of Interview with a Vampire on AMC Plus with Lara and myself guesting on. So we had a great time having a talk about Interview with a Vampire season 1, because I believe next season when it comes in for season 2, Danny will be hosting, and I won't be in charge. It'll be Danny, and I'm hoping by then he'll have a good feel of how to do things. I had to interject a little bit here and there, as I usually do, but I'm loving to get my friends getting them into podcasting, and I think this is a good way to get Danny into it. Plus, it was our first time actually doing a TV show on Adrenaline Cinema Podcast, so it was a fun way to segue into that. So it was new stepping stones for Adrenaline Cinema, because not only is it in the theater, it's also in the theater in your home. So that was the idea and the thought. So eventually, hopefully in time, we could get you more shows like that, and you have people like Rob or Steve, myself, or anybody else that I have friends that are interested in doing TV shows just the same, that get our adrenaline going, things that we love to do. We liked Interview with the Vampire, Danny and myself, and then Lara said, I want in. So she came on. We talked a little bit about Mayfair Witches, and I didn't say it like Paik did, because I kind of made a few mistakes and called it Wayfair Mitches, like Paik had stated a few times. But Rima didn't really want to continue that on Strange Indeed, which I understand, because she didn't feel like she could cover something that she wasn't wholeheartedly into, and I have major respect for that. I still watch it. I don't know if it's hate watching, but I kind of dropped off after the 3rd or 4th episode. And I was just like, where's this show going? But Interview really caught my eye, but I still watch Mayfair Witches just to see how it's going and what they're doing with the property. Because AMC has purchased all of Anne Rice's material. A lot of it, actually, as we talked about on Interview. So check that out. Interview with a Vampire Season 1, as well as Invasion of the Body Snatchers on Adrenaline Cinema Podcast, which you could hear both Fantasy Picks Movie Edition and Adrenaline Cinema Podcast on piratecoreentertainment.com. So check that out for links. Steve, you're live Steving still. You have been live Steving for a while still, even in your absence, but it's great to hear your voice.
Yeah, 2 minutes. 2 minutes of my time is a lot easier than an hour and a half. An hour and a half tends to act up my issues. But yeah, I'm still sending in for the Revisited podcast with Ben and Kristen. They're back covering Lost. They're in season 5, so you can hear my voice on all the episodes of that. I try to get that into them there, and I will be guesting on a Podcastica show hopefully this week, episode 6 of Poker Face. The name of that podcast is Murder Magnets, and it's on the Podcastica network, and I should be on hopefully this week.
Awesome. Cool. So check that out. Podcastica. Steve's going to be guesting on Poker Face. They cover that. And it's called, what was it?
It's Murder Magnets is the name of the podcast.
Murder Magnets on Podcastica. Awesome. All right. Well, listeners, I'm going to bring it up, and I brought it up at one point when Rob was on one of the last few podcasts we did. I said jokes are coming. I asked you guys to send in a joke. You guys haven't sent one in. I'm giving you one. All right. It's a Marvel joke. All right, guys. Listen to this. What do Wanda and Daredevil have in common?
They're both inbred.
They both lack vision.
Very good.
Okay. So, dad joke of the week already.
Very dad joke.
It is a very dad joke, but all right, listeners, I already said it. Send one in. Send in a joke that we could tell everybody else if you have one. Marvel, DC, anything comic book related. Hell, it could be Little Orphan Annie. It's still a comic. Give it in. If it's dirty,
even better.
Well, probably, because I don't think any of the little kids are out there unless, we have to tell them, all right, earmuffs, put them on the kids at that point. But yeah, I said it. Jokes are coming. If you don't provide one, I'm going to, or one of us is going to. All right. So, that kind of ends it for this particular podcast. And I think we covered Peacemaker season 1 and had a really good time at doing it. So all I have to say is same podcast, different panel, different pixel. I'm Mark.
I'm Rob.
I'm Steve.
And I'm Rob. I'm sorry. There was no,
It's Rob and Steve.
Rob and Steve here. So.
And this was Panels to Pixels, and we'll see you guys on the next panel.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye. I totally screwed that one up.
Yeah, it's okay. It's fun.
It's fun.
Mariska Hargitay, Mario, Super Mario, fucking Luigi, Yoshi, the princess, Bert, Ernie, Grover, Snuffleupagus, Burger King, Grimace, Ronald McDonald, 2 old guys from the balcony and the Muppets, Jim Morrison, any one of the fucking Beatles, Pete Best, George Carlin, dead, Danny Glover, Mel Gibson, Ice-T, Ice Cube, Vanilla Ice, Elvis fucking Presley, Priscilla Presley, Seth Meyers. What about Seth Meyers, or for that matter, Jay Leno? Conan's not really doing much right now.
All right, most of those, you're right, could probably go to prison, but I would never put Ariana Grande in there. She looks too innocent.
Possibly true. Possibly.